What inspired you to venture into private practice in addition to your NHS role?
So basically, my specialty itself is obviously I'm an eye specialist specializing in corneal surgery, which is corneal transplants, etc., cataract surgery, and refractive surgery, and that in itself lends itself to private practice very much so. But I've been training for the last 14 years, working through all the stages of being a doctor and then being a specialist in ophthalmology in general, and then specializing specifically in my area of interest. And as I got closer to the end, I realized I've developed all these skills, and I always got really good feedback from my patients, my colleagues, and they said, you're really good with communication and with patient interaction. And I thought, well, that's again a very placed asset to have when it comes to private practice as well. And to be honest, when I talk to my patients, when I'm whether in private practice or in the NHS, I don't really think of them any differently. It's just that I have a little bit more time with them in private, and I'm not so kind of pushed to see 20 patients in a clinic. So the journey really led to that point. But then, interestingly, I got involved in refractive surgery on an international setting as being part of a faculty internationally with the Refractive Surgery Alliance. And from there, I got a scholarship and I did a physician CEO program, which is actually business school for ophthalmologists and for anyone who's a physician. And this was at the Kellogg Business School. It's a very well-regarded business school. So there, my mind was absolutely blown. I got access to all this knowledge about the business side, and so I knew it's all about, organizational skills, efficiency, etc. And so I was able to put it all together and then hit the ground running when it came to becoming a consultant. I'd already been a consultant for 2 years before I even started thinking about private practice. And now I've been about a year in, and it's been really an exciting journey so far.
What were the biggest operational challenges in launching and growing your private ophthalmology clinic?
So I think that it's all about, the balancing my NHS practice with my private practice. Um, Interestingly, initially, what I've done is actually I've delved into everything. So I'm medical director of a private refractive surgery clinic, and it's their first clinic in the UK. And I helped to start that from the ground up, and it's been running for a year and been very successful. And simultaneously, I have my own private practice with my own website, and I've had referrals coming in through there as well, which I see in the Royal Free Private Patient Unit, and then I usually operate in Harley Street. So it's meant that I've had to learn a lot within the last year of how to juggle everything and how to give my patients this really actually very holistic, but also very personalized care, because I've had to manage my time, but also manage my schedule according to my patients. Because as I'm building up my patient base, I have enough time for each of the patients to kind of give them a personalized care, give them schedules that they prefer. But yeah, I hope to continue to deliver that as I keep growing as well.
Can you walk us through the steps that you took to establish and scale Betterview UK as a medical director?
Absolutely. I mean, it all starts with a team. So we were initially trying to recruit the best team members, from the manager, from the front of staff to the optometrists. I was the only surgeon, and in a way, it's been quite good at the beginning to be the only surgeon there, because it meant that I could control the way that I have the patient journey. And I would not operate on a single patient unless I've seen them myself, even though they go through all these steps to make sure that they're eligible for surgery. Additionally, actually seeing the practice being built, I had some say in, okay, we should put the slit lamp in this place, or we should have the laser in this way, and this is more comfortable for me, and these are the instruments I want to use. So it was really great to do that, and also to choose the lenses I wanted to implant, which was again personalized to each patient. Interestingly, it's called a shop and a client rather than patient and clinic, because we wanted to make it very non-medical. We wanted the experience to be very kind of zen and spa-like, and that's actually what it's achieved, because all the reviews that we've gotten kind of mirrors that. But this company actually expanded from Switzerland, so we kind of had a standard baseline. They have 11 clinics there already, which is extremely successful, and so we kind of brought along some of that blueprint across as well. So it's been a great experience. I could have joined another clinic, or and I was invited to join several clinics, and I was really flattered, and I really would have joined them, but this opportunity came along, and it was just something that you can't miss out on, because really makes you grow as a person. And yeah, it's just been part stressful, but part enjoyable, and actually mostly very enjoyable and very fulfilling. And, in the course of the last year, now I've become a fellow of the World College of Refractive Surgery, just because of the sheer number of patients I've been able to treat as well.
How do you balance, delivering excellent clinical care with also the business imperatives of running a successful private
I
practice?
think that, to be fair, this is not a skill that I've developed overnight. I've honed this over, 15 years. I think that a part of it's my personality. I always seem to have this boundless amount of energy, especially when I'm doing something that I really find exciting, interesting, and enjoyable. And for me, that one-to-one patient care and seeing the results afterwards, especially in ophthalmology where we get results very fast, it's something that really invigorates me anyway. Also, funnily enough, my husband says that you have to have like a really good memory of pain to have a burnout. And so because I somehow just shut out anything bad from my memory at all, so I don't remember anything that's happened that's not, brilliant or successful. So my husband says I'll just never burn out because I'm always looking at the next thing, okay, the next success. And actually that has allowed me to not only, as you said, hold several roles within the NHS, refractive surgery clinics and private practice, but I'm also the founder and chair of the American European Congress of Ophthalmic Surgery Sustainability Network, and that's growing. And I think we're on track to save nearly £500,000 from the changes we've made locally in North Central London itself. And then I'm very much into female empowerment, and of course I also have my own content creation through Instagram where I'm always trying to combat medical misinformation at the same time as actually trying to show my colleagues, especially my female colleagues, that you can be, successful in your career and have a family life and explore other interests whilst having a good time. And, it's not always easy, but I want to show them that it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you mentioned social media. So that's one thing I want to touch on, which is obviously that's one way to get patients, but there's lots of different ways to get patients. And so I want to kind of understand like what marketing channels or strategies have like been proven most effective for you specifically in attracting and maintaining like patient loyalties.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, it starts with the patient journey and the patient experience. If they have a good experience, there'll be word of mouth and then they'll send their cousins, their aunties, their uncles, and their friends over to you. It's that trust that's the most important. And it's not something that you kind of go out to do or set out to do. It's more that something that just happens naturally as a byproduct. So through the refractive surgery practice, my team with Betterview, they've been very much positive about, doing lots and lots of marketing and getting the word out that we're here in London and the way that we are providing a kind of a different slant on the way we practice refractive surgery and the way we deliver it, essentially. And so actually it was quite funny. My barista locally, which is about 45 minutes away from where I work, looked up at me one day after a year of serving me and he said, "Oh, you were on my Facebook ads yesterday. You look different in scrubs." And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, the marketing's gone really wild, but really impactful. And then from my own private practice side, it's really actually been word of mouth, and I hold a lot of roles, so I'm assuming that a lot of them come through, other channels as well. And then, yeah, I'm just hoping to keep building on that. I haven't done my own marketing so far, but I'm building on that now. And, I have my own website now that I'm improving all the time.
How do you cultivate trust and reputation in a field where personal referrals and your professional credibility matters so much?
I think, when you're having that patient interaction or that client interaction, what you're trying to do each time is think about, and this is how I think of it, is think about what would I do for my family in that situation with their unique set of circumstances, their ocular health, and what they need in their life based on their, work background and their hobbies, etc. And when you put that all together, it's like a little jigsaw, but you obviously have all the knowledge and the background, but to apply it slightly differently each time takes skill and time to develop it, of course. But I really enjoy that part of it. And so when I approach each person, I make sure that they feel heard, listened to, welcome, and I'm so empathetic with them that I kind of fully put myself in their shoes, and then give them advice accordingly. And it seems to work very well. Patients, clients respond really well to that, and really I don't know, it comes naturally to me, I guess, to maintain that trust with them through clear instructions, eye contact, making sure that they understand, to be honest, what I'm trying to say. And sometimes I'll ask them to repeat back or ask, if you have any questions, there's no silly question to ask me, please ask me. And I try and reduce the amount of jargon I use when I'm explaining things as well. So I think all of these things mean that hopefully the person comes in feeling welcomed. They are there for the whole duration and understand what I'm trying to explain to them and to make sure that I get to the crux of really what their pain point is and then deliver on that. And then, of course, I always try and use this time to educate my patients. So even if it's something that seems irrelevant at this moment in time, I always say to them, listen, I'm not just planning your vision journey for now, I'm planning it for life. And I want to make sure that you understand these are the things to look out for in the short term, the medium term, the long term. And they really appreciate that.
Also, come back to the marketing side. I'm curious to know, like, could you share an example of a marketing initiative or misstep that taught you something valuable?
I think that one of the things actually that I came up with because I'd been to several practices in America and I'd visited a great practice, Vance Thompson's practice in Sioux Falls in the US. And they have a really great way of welcoming patients and things. And I think I'd seen on Instagram that they had a decal, I believe, in one of their clinics, which said, OMG, I can see, but spelled out in like a big decal. So I said, why don't we print out something similar, but on a smaller kind of piece of paper and kind of stick it on the back of the place where the clients come in prior to their laser refractive surgery, and then in the room where they're recovering on their way out. And it was a really fun video. And so we started taking client videos where we would kind of record them before and after. And actually it went viral, which was really great. But of course, for every 20 comments that you have, lots of patients came in actually based on that. But for every 20 comments on that post that you get, there'll always be one, oh, yeah, actually one patient had permanent makeup, and so they were like, oh, as if this is true, she's still got makeup on and things. And so we had to like respond very carefully and things like that. So I mean, marketing, there's no kind of perfect thing. You'll always be cringy to somebody or really amazing or inspiring to somebody else. And I think you have to just go with your gut feeling and do what you feel like doing, because people are going to perceive it in different ways. So what I learned is actually you have to have a thick skin when you're on social media, and it's more about just conveying who you are in real life, but on social media, so you can spread the good word.
How do you envision growing your private practice the next stage? Is it maybe through a new location? Are you adding new services? Or is it perhaps adopting new technology?
So the benefit of actually growing a private practice and actually training and being on in this era is that I've just been at that cusp where I've been amongst the first to take on some of the newer techniques. And so even if there's somebody who's been, around for a long time, they've been doing these techniques, I've been kind of taking on these new technologies and new techniques as I go along. And it's been part and parcel of training and of being a new consultant. I'm also very interested in and have done a lot of research. So I think that actually having substance to your, whatever you post on social media, or having substance to what you're doing is really important. It's not just about creating the content. It's actually, you have to be practicing those things. You have to operate on those thousands of patients to get that information, but also do lots of research. So I've got over 30 plus research papers and articles that are often cited. And what it's done is give me this background where I've kept up with what's already been practiced, taken on new technologies as they've come along, but also things like applying artificial intelligence when I'm doing my patient care as well. So nowadays, when you're choosing lenses for patients who have cataract surgery or lens replacement surgery planned, I was doing the research in it and then looking into the artificial intelligence side of it and actually apply it in my day-to-day practice. So when people say, oh, when are you going to be using this? I already do. And the results are outstanding. And so really keeping up with all that is great. And then, of course, I'm hoping right now to maximize the number of patients I see within my clinical times, which is getting busier and busier all the time. And then as I go along and grow, then I have some capacity to see more patients as well in a different location. So watch this space. I'm really excited to keep on delivering really high quality care, expand my team. But also I think that I have a really great feeling that having the support of your team, and now that I've kind of started to collaborate with you all, I have a good feeling that I think I'm going to grow in a way that's organic and really impactful for my patients.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then my last question is this, which is just like, if you could offer one piece of key advice to a clinician looking to establish their own private practice, what would that be?
I think it's really important to be super confident in your trade, of course, and be confident in your specialty and keep up with, all the basics. And then beyond that, I think definitely I would advise doing some sort of business training. Private practice is not for the faint-hearted. I think you can't just jump into it without having any knowledge at all. You have to have, I would say the three things you need is a good mentor. Number two, you need to have some business background, even if it's, informal or online training, ideally a business school training in person, maybe some modules. And then thirdly, I think good ability to have organizational efficiency. So you've got to be efficient and you've got to be organized because you want to be delivering really high quality care whilst balancing all the other hats you wear.